our next speaker is what we call a YESx slot. So they are not professional speakers. They don't do this for a living. They are members of this community. One of the things I was really passionate about when I took over, and also when I was on the leadership team as membership secretary, was getting more involvement from the fantastic array of people that we've got in the audience. We've all got messages to share. We've all had our own obstacles that we've had to overcome. And so YESx is our take on a TEDx, which is like a 15-minute slot where someone who is a part of our community, maybe they're a long-term table sponsor, they've been on the leadership team, maybe they've been a member for many years, they get an opportunity to stand on this stage along with more established speakers. And our next speaker, Renata, is in fact someone who has been a big part of the YES Group community, not just here in the UK, but has in fact started a YES Group over in Slovenia, which is where she is from. She came to the UK originally, I think 6 years ago, leaving a well-paid job, security, and effectively started up again from scratch. She says she's not a professional speaker or an award-winning entrepreneur yet, so maybe she will be pretty soon. And here to tell you about how your greatest challenges, I think, will be your greatest lessons and the lessons that she's learned along her journey. Please give a big YES Group welcome to Renata.
Thank you, thank you. How many of you believe that there is no coincidences in life? Please show, here is your hand. Thank you. And how many of you believe that universe or God or whatever you believe in will sometimes give you more that you ask for it? Please raise your hand. Thank you. Well, a few years ago, I was sitting at a workshop and we had an exercise and we had to put a few names down that if we have opportunity to sit down for dinner with anyone we want, who would that be? And believe it or not, among Oprah and Richard Branson and Tony Robbins, I put down Eric Admits and his wife. And, you know, the reason I asked earlier that universe sometimes gives you more than you ask for it, I really didn't ask, you know, to share the stage with this amazing, incredible speaker as Eric is. I just asked to sit down for dinner. And the reason I actually put down their names is because I was working for a company and Eric was speaking there. My eye is doing something, but it's not, you know, I'm not sad or like, you know, super happy yet. So, Eric was speaking there. And I saw him, how he's passionate about what he's doing. And I met shortly his wife, and I saw what a beautiful relationship they have. And, you know, I said, oh, they're really cool people. I would really, you know, like to add them to this, you know, table, have a dinner with them. And the question that actually followed this exercise was, I obviously put too much makeup on today. So if there is any napkin available, I would appreciate that. So as Eric was speaking there, I said, you know, I know I'm going to back to exercise. So the exercise first question was, you know, who would you like to speak by the table? But second question was, you know, who do you need to become to actually sit down with these people? And that was a very powerful question for me. You know, I started to think who these people are. I started to discover them, what they do on a daily basis. And I realized I really need to take my path of, you know, personal development. And I was, you know, I'm very passionate YES Group member, as Harry said earlier. I love YES Group. This organization has given me so much. And it's such an honor, you know, to be here today. Not only to, you know, speak, you know, at the same stage as Eric, but mostly because YES Group it really is home of growth and contribution for me. You know, I've met some of the most incredible people here. I've made some of the most amazing friends along this journey, and I've been coming, you know, for almost 5 years now to the YES Group, and yeah, so it's honored to be here, right? And so once I was sitting down, just like you, and there was an amazing speaker on stage. She has been working for Tony Robbins like for many years. Her name is Lorenz Locum, if you know her, and she said something very powerful. And she said that night when she was here on this stage, she said that, nowadays we are all striving so much for success, and we wanted to achieve this and this, and, we wanted to become like whoever we want, but we so often forget, who we are on a daily basis. Like, how do we show up as a friend, as a mother or father, as a parent, as a coworker or employee? And, that was really powerful for me because seriously, and she said, if you can live your life, if you can live your life in such a way that you can make sure that maybe 2 or 3 people will live better because of you, she said, that's, that was worth living. And I would like to set very similar intention tonight. As Harry said, I'm not a professional speaker, but I was invited here to share my story. And my intention tonight here is actually to inspire at least 2 or 3 of you to do something, to grow, to give more or to be more. So that's my intention for tonight. And to start my talk, actually, I would like to share 3 stories of my life. And first story talks about courage. And it goes back 6 years ago when we moved to this country together with my husband. We both left good paid jobs back home, but we wanted something more. We wanted to experience a multicultural environment. We wanted to travel a little bit more, and we just wanted something new. So we moved to this country, and it was very easy for my husband to start his life here, but it was much more challenging for me. So my husband works in IT, so he got a job very quickly, but I couldn't get a job. So I said, okay, in order to get a job, to attract the job that I want, I have to grow. So first of all, I have to improve my English. I never had any hour of English class in my life. So I said, okay, how am I gonna do? I don't have much money. But there are some creative ways how you can learn English nowadays. So we used to live in Kensington Olympia, just next to exhibition center, and there was like a free, exhibition, like almost like every few days. And I went to this like to every possible exhibition, and I went from stand to stand, say, hi, how are you doing today? So what is your product about? And, I started to talk to people and make conversations. So I was getting better and better. And my English became better. And I was ready to go to some job interviews. And I went to a few job interviews. It didn't go well. So I said, okay, I have to keep on working on myself. So I started to look into personal development and, to started to grow. And I attended a few free workshops, and one day I was actually going home, and I saw a big banner that Tony Robbins is coming to London. And I called my husband. I said, like, we have to go to Tony Robbins' event. You don't know who is Tony Robbins? He has changed my life so many years ago. We have to go. And he said, like, who the heck is Tony Robbins? So he Googled it, and he said, like, oh, darling, we are not paying £1,000 for 2 tickets, to attend this event. And I said, no, we have to go. So I started to think, like, creative ways, like who can borrow me money, or like, how I can attend this event. And I was asking for miracles, and even though I didn't believe at that time that they exist, but I was asking for miracles, and suddenly, I'm not joking, I've got this Groupon email, and they said it's 96% discount, right? So I can attend this workshop. So I called my husband again, and I said, like, can you please book these tickets? They're 96% discount. And he actually said, oh, it's Friday, Saturday and Sunday, so I'm not taking day off of my work to go to this workshop. I said, we really have to go. So I convinced him, and we went to this conference. It's called National Achievers Congress. And it was 9,000 people in the room, and I was sitting in a very, 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 very last row because I had the cheapest ticket. And and I was so happy. And Tony Robbins was talking first day, and I was so impressed by him. Finally, I saw him after so many years, and he was speaking only for a few hours. And then on second day, they had a prize draw, right? And remember, listen, what I'm going to say, because I said universe sometimes give you more than you ask for it, right? So the host of this event, he brought the big box on the stage, and he said, they had a prize draw for everyone, no matter how expensive ticket you bought, right? So they had the prize draw, and believe it or not, out of 9,000 people, right, they have chosen me. So he called my name. So listen. This is not end of the story. So when he actually blessed him, his name is Scott Harris, and he's amazing speaker as well. So he has done a little mistake on stage, right? Or yeah. So he called my name and he said, "The winner is Renata Hercog." So I was running, from like very back. I was high-fiving everyone. I went on the stage, and maybe he was so excited, that I was so excited. And then he said, instead of, how many of you know Tony Robbins? Okay, how many of you attended Tony Robbins? Okay, so he actually, Tony Robbins, for those of you who don't know, Tony Robbins comes to London twice per year, and he has two major events, to London twice per year, and two major events. One is Unleash the Power Within, and one is Business Mastery. So one is like around 600 pounds, and another one is about 6,000 pounds. And this host on the stage, when he took my name, instead of giving me 2 tickets for, the cheapest event, Unleash the Power Within, he made a mistake. And he gave me 2 tickets for Business Mastery. So I end up at this Business Mastery, and actually I didn't end up there. The second story that I want to talk about, story of perseverance, comes in. So I knew that this event is just coming up in a few weeks, and nobody has called me from organizers, to invite me to this conference. So I Googled it, who is the organizer. I called the office, and they said like, "No, there must be a mistake. We have never given such a expensive ticket to anyone. It must be a mistake." And So how many of you have angels in your life? Okay, I do as well. It's my husband. So he actually recorded. That part, and I sent them a proof that I received 2 tickets for Business Mastery, and they have to give me 2 tickets. So I end up at this event. And I was so inspired. And this is how I met you, Eric, at that time. So Eric was speaking at Tony Robbins' event at that time. So I end up at this event. I didn't have business. I didn't even have a clue of business. I didn't even, and there was 350 entrepreneurs, very intimate environment with Tony Robbins. And I was again, it was like time of my life. And we have to have something very powerful again. So we have to write down a letter, right? We have to write down a letter to ourselves, in our future self. And I was so inspired, of this personal development that I didn't have in Slovenia. And I said, like, I want to bring at least 100 people to these kind of seminars. They have to experience this. So I wrote down a letter. And I didn't know how I'm going to do that. I didn't know anyone. Like, I didn't know what to do. So I said, like, the best way is just to spread the word about the organizers, so they can, the people can come. So I started to, after this event, I started to call people in Slovenia, come to Tony Robbins' event, come to this event. They said, "Are you crazy? So much money to spend and travel to London? No way." So I only got 2 friends to come, actually. They believe me. And so I was so passionate. I didn't know what to do. I was very unsuccessful in doing this. So I called the organizers. I said, like, "Can I come and work for you?" And they said, like, "No, we are not really hiring." And I said, like, please, can I come and work for you?" And they said, "No, we are not really hiring." I said, like, "Okay, can I come and work for free?" And they said, like, "Oh, we are not really, like, doing this in the office." And I said, like, please. So I was like very stubborn. And I said, "Okay, let her come for a few weeks." So I went there, and they didn't really have a job for me because they didn't look for anyone. So I was very good with customer service before in Slovenia. So I said, like, okay, I know how to like follow up people and how to pre-call them for event. I know like everything. So I started to do my kind of things. After 2 months, going to the office, like first one in the morning, leaving last one, director of the company, her name is Veronica Tan. She was just opening South Africa office at the time. She called me and she said, like, "Renata, we heard you are so good. Would you like to work for us?" And I said, like, "Oh my gosh, I would love to." So they actually hire me, they hire me. So I was working for this company for almost 2 years. And it was like, it was very, very challenging job, like very demanding job. And in terms of like growth and, experience, it was like one of the best jobs I ever had. So almost after 2 years, I left this job. And okay. And then what happened? So after like few months later, I wasn't really like, somehow I wasn't congruent with who I was, right? And I became really ill. Suddenly I became really ill. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything. I was hospitalized. I've got very serious autoimmune disease. And I was laying down in my bed. And seriously, 2 months, it was really, I couldn't do anything. And not even like, I wasn't even willing to, open my computer. So I was laying on my bed. And once I was working with a speaker called, his name is Brandon Burchard, if you know him. Oh, I'll show it here, maybe you don't see it. So he gave me this present when I was working with him. And he said in one of his books and his talks, he said, no matter like what we do in life, no matter how successful we are, on the end of our lives, we're all gonna ask one question, and it's the question is, so did I live? Did I love? Did it matter? So I was laying down in the bed, and I thought, like, have I done everything with what I've got? Like, have I given everything? And the reason, I'm a very positive person, but the reason I was asking this myself is because a few years ago, I really lost my dear friend. Like, she was 37 and she died because of cancer literally in 3 months. And I was asking, is this the end? Like, seriously, it was so bad. And then I said, what can I give? Okay, I cannot go to work and I cannot do much, but what can I do? Is there something I can give? So I remember, as I said earlier, YES Group is really home of growth and contribution. So somehow, I managed, like, after 2 or 3 months at home, I managed, to cover myself, to put scarves on, to put makeup on, because I was inflamed, like all, like everywhere, like, my skin was rushing, my joints were like that. And I live like pretty healthy life, and this has happened to me. So I said, okay, what can I give? So I came back to YES Group, right? And I've seen like familiar faces, people who knew me for all this time. And, I spoke to Carl before about like opening YES Group in Slovenia, and I wasn't really taking action. And I said, no, I know I can give that. I can do this. And, there is so many people here who will support your journey and your what you want to do in your life. And there is my dear friend Alan Kleinhans. Thank you so much. So I asked him for the very first time to do YES Group in Slovenia, and to ask him to come and help me to open up YES Group Slovenia. And he did. So we did the first YES Group, and we did like many of them later. So it was amazing. And now I've been running YES Group for 2 years, and we have done so much for our country, brought all this personal development to Slovenia, and they have opportunity to meet all these people. So and also we have done the basket brigade. Yeah, I'm rushing a little bit because I have no time anymore. So so basket brigade, first year we've done 100 baskets, and second year we have done 200 baskets. And yes. And how many of you heard that, God has never left anyone behind? Yeah, great. So, this is like very powerful to me. And, as I said, it was 2012 when I attended Business Mastery with Tony Robbins, and I wrote this letter to myself, like how I'm going to, do something about Slovenia and bring this program to Slovenia. So, actually, 5 years later, right? So don't give up if it doesn't happen immediately. And I met, actually, just last year at the same time, I met my, previous CEO. And she remembered, my dreams. And, she said, like, Renata, I've seen you've done so much. You're doing amazing job with YES Group. You become entrepreneur. And, and I'm telling you again, when you come to this environment all the time, you really grow so much, and you have so much to give, and you attract different kind of opportunities. So I started businesses, and, like, it has been an amazing journey. And my previous director saw me, and she said, like, Renata, I've seen you've grown so much. And, I think you're ready, for what you wanted to do in Slovenia. And so literally last year we said, yes again to my big dream to bring one of the Success Resources program to Slovenia. So I've done my first project with them. It's called Millionaire Mind Intensive. And literally this is my own success. I mean, like, own success. I brought this program to Slovenia, and I filled the room with 890 people for very first time. And it's so beautiful to see, how many lives has changed. since then. And what I wanted to like leave you with today is, never underestimate your dreams, because you never know, how with one single decision, like for example, me moving here, or like, just like attending one conference, right? And being there, in order to win it, you have to be in it, right? So I was there, and what ripple effect one simple action has. And so as I said earlier, I wanted to make sure that, two of you go home inspired. So I'm wondering how many of you feel like a little bit more inspired now before you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not done.
Yeah, you're not done. Oh, well done, well done.